Okay. I'm going to grab out a couple of pieces of 4x6 watercolor paper. I have this paper at KenOliverCrafts.com, and this watercolor paper has two sides. There's a textured side and there's a smooth side. And since we're going to be using a stencil and we're going to be using some mediums, I'm going to use the smooth side. Both sides are the same as far as the way that the color absorbs into the paper. It's a cold press. It's actually a duotone paper that has two pieces of paper, the rough or the textured side and the smooth, that are pressed together. So it's a cool paper. It's available at KenOliverCrafts.com. And I'm just checking in with the camera to make sure that we're good and that we're on track. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you guys are here. Yeah, I can see everything. Wow, thanks for joining. I'm happy to see friends from all around the country and all around the world. So I'm going to get a good galaxy background started, and that's going to be a watercolor technique. So I'm going to give these a good spritz with, and I wanted a mist, but I gave myself a stream, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to sprinkle some of these gorgeous ColorSparx to create the background that I want to see here. And I want to make sure that I get lots of gamboge in there, because that's the light that's going to illuminate our backgrounds. I'm going to use a little bit of marigold. I'm going to put a little bit of fuchsia in there. Now, if this is too dark, we can lighten it up by adding more water. There's nothing that you can not fix. You can fix anything. Now I'm going to add a bit of cerulean blue around the edges. That's the deep space. And I'm going to put some wisteria in for purple. I thought I was going to use orchid, but I actually pulled out wisteria to be my purple today. So at the moment, those aren't really looking a lot like galaxy backgrounds, but watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my trusty spritz bottle and activate that color a little more and let it blend around, blendy, 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 and let it kind of like, it's just going to do its own thing. That's starting to look like outer space, isn't it? Love all that deep and brilliant color together. It is just gorgeous. Lisa Marie, it is easy. We've been in classes together. You always do fine. You do great. Like, it is so easy. Part of it, I think, also is, just having the confidence to just do it. I've watched in a lot of classes, like if someone is real hesitant about squeezing their spray bottle when they're putting down water, they'll go like this and just barely squeeze, and it just makes a few drops. If you mist it with a fine mist, and I mean like mist like you mean it, you're going to have great results. So part of that is just like having the confidence just to really make your mark and just do it. And I know you can. So I love the way these are looking. And I'm just going to clean up my work area a little bit while these start to dry. And I'm going to take a little bit of that water off. This reminds me of tie-dye for paper. Now I'm going to get out my heat tool, because I really love the way that these look. And I'm going to hit this with the heat tool and just dry this all the way. And you notice that the paper curled a little bit. That is 100% normal. Paper has fibers that are pressed together that go all different ways. And when they get wet, they contract and restrict in at different rates. So whenever you dry them out, they also dry out and relax. See how that starts to dry out and relax? And it flattens out again. And we'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to flip these over and dry the backs because that will also help us to flatten it out. And for a second it looks like it's going to curl again, but it will flatten back out. I promise. See how that flattens back out? Now we've got two gorgeous swirly galaxy backgrounds that look like the beginnings of a universe. I've been so like amazed over the past couple of weeks seeing those images from the birth of our universe from that new telescope that went up. And you know what? Like the thing, it confirmed that like our universe is made of stardust, and that means you're made of stardust too. We're all made of dust from galaxies, from stars that were in outer space billions of years ago. That's what we're all made of, stardust. How amazing is that idea? Aren't those pretty? Now, the next technique I'm going to do is actually to remove a little bit of color and give me some spots of white or light color in this background. So I'm going to spritz this with like some drops of water, and we're going to let that water sit on there for a minute, and that water is going to have a conversation with the color. It's going to say, hey baby, let's dissolve. And so they're dissolving right now, and their molecules are commingling. The molecules of the color are actually smaller than the molecules of the water, so they can get in there and move around in between the molecules. And what I can see, and I don't know if you can, but like it's like lifting out color right now. The water's saying to the color, come on baby, go with me. And so the color's saying, okay, our molecules fit, and that's what they're doing. Sorry to make that such a weird explanation, but that's kind of what's happening right now. Then as I can see that there's actually like some little bokeh effect happening. So I'm going to take my paper towel roll and roll across this and see all of those little specks of light that came to be. And that helps us make it look like a galaxy background, because it looks like little flecks of light in the background itself, like in the galaxy. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to dry these. Oh, this is one of my favorite little tricks of using ColorSparx, is to make these amazing galaxy backgrounds. Now with these backgrounds, there are a host of things we can do. If you have silhouette stamps, You can stamp a silhouette on this, or silhouette stencils. If you have stamps that have like a forest or trees, you could put that on the background. Oh, I just happened to think of a brand new release from stencil from the Crafters Workshop. That's a forest, but I don't have it listed in the shop yet, and that's going to be a demo for a different day because that's going to be really amazing. So the next thing we're going to do is add some Stardust galaxies to this, or some Stardust. Look at that. That's going to be so fun. I want this to flatten out, so I'm going to dry it just a little bit more. When I'm working with ColorSparx, I do like to keep my area neat. So I keep a roll of paper towels handy so I can wipe up any, any excess water and excess color. And it just keeps things a lot neater. So I'm going to tape this down. And we're going to apply pearl white Stardust Butter to this. And I'm not going to like do the whole stencil. I'm going to apply it kind of like randomly, because I want it to look like stardust being flung across the far reaches of the universe in a random chaotic pattern that really has order to it. What? One thing that's really good to do when you're using this glorious Stardust Butter is to stir it up really well. All the stardust is kind of like in a suspension, and it can separate or settle a little bit. So I love to make sure that I've got all of the sparkly goodness mixed around thoroughly, so I give it a little stir. Now I'm just going to place this down, and I'm going to give this a go. And I'm not going to do the whole thing, and I'm not going to do it a whole lot. I'm going to just give it just a little bit here and there to give the impression of stardust in the galaxy. So you think that's enough? I hope so. I'm going to lift this up and see, and look how cool that is. That is really, really nice. And I'm going to like go back. I saw a couple of areas that I missed, and I just want to put a little bit more in there. So what's cool about this stencil is like that the circles or the bubbles are all different shapes, so that you get a really random effect. I'm going to heat this with the heat tool, and what's going to happen is all these little stars are going to poof up. The Stardust Butter actually bubbles up whenever it gets heated, so it gives you like a really cool technique. You know, another one that would be fun to use here would be this slimline random bubbles. It would give us almost a look of planets. Look how cool that is. I love that. You know, it occurred to me as I was working on this that we could use the same technique, but use cerulean blue, chartreuse, and lime green from the poolside set and make it look like it's underwater. How pretty is that? Now, I'm going to do a little bit of a different technique here where I'm going to take some of the gold Stardust, dilute it a little bit, and paint on little areas using a paintbrush. And so that you probably haven't thought about doing that, but you can very easily dilute any of the stencil butters or the Stardust butters and use them almost like a watercolor. And I want to get a little more definition here with some of the white areas, because that's where I'll put gold. Go ahead and get just a little bit of water here. Putting a little bit of water on my craft mat. That's the best ever craft mat. And I'm going to stir up my champagne gold and put just a little bit of champagne gold in that water. And then we'll mix that up so that we get a really fine, almost like gold watercolor. And, you know, ideally, I would do this in a little palette, in a plastic palette plate, but I moved my studio last week. I'm in a new location, and I haven't found the plastic palette yet. So I'm, what is this called? Ad-libbing, making do. So now we've got a beautiful liquid version of Stardust Butter. And I'm going to take out my extra dots over here. See how that, just putting that water on for a second, really like brought out some of that, those white spaces. Then with my paintbrush, I'm going to grab, and I want to make sure my paintbrush is wet. I'm going to grab some of that beautiful golden champagne Stardust Butter that we just diluted, and I'm going to put some dots on here. And I'm just going to put those dots where the little bitty white lights are. And this will be one way to do that. And another way that I'm way more excited about is this. Splatter them. But this could, be careful when you do this because it could get all over your, oh, see, and that really makes it look like that stardust is far flung and splattered against the cosmos. Oh yeah, this is what I was going for. Now I'm going to try that with the heat tool and watch some of that magic happen, because anywhere where we've got those little splatters, they're going to bubble up. I'm going to hold this up so you can see it, hopefully a little better, but I don't want it to run. Isn't that cool? I love the way it looks like the stardust is splattered against those stars in the background. Oh, that is gorgeous. It looks as if the background is encrusted with stardust. It is so beautiful. Can you see it sparkling? Love that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put these on some black mats because that's going to make it look, it's going to make, and I used a kind of a wide cut on that. It's a 1/4 inch all the way around. But to me, like, it's perfect for a project like this because it makes it look like it's framed. I'm just going to straighten this out manually like this. Look at that beauty. Isn't that nice? Doesn't that look like a galaxy? So now I'm going to do the same to this one. Just kind of manually straighten that out. So I had an idea while I was working on this when I've got everything on the table. We're going to create an underwater look too, with the same colors that I have on the table, but just using the blues and the greens and the purples to make an underwater look. Because I have a feeling that that's going to be the money shot right there. It's that gorgeous water look. Sprayer that down to make sure that is stuck all the way around. And look how pretty that is. Isn't that nice? These are gorgeous. And I do have 5x7 cards. I'm going to put these, go ahead and put these on a 5x7 card. I have an idea of what to put on here for a word, and it's from a word stencil that I use all the time. One of the words is inspire, and one word is dream. And I totally see that those words would be great on this front of this card. And then that would be a great card to send for any occasion if you want to send somebody something that says inspire. If you have an art friend, or dream would be fantastic. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Decide which way I want to see it. And like I said, I made the mats really wide on this because it looks more like a frame.